We are here with a woman of many firsts. She's a tennis pioneer. She's a tennis executive. She's a sports commentator. And she is an author of Own the Arena. Listen, that's just to name a few. I could keep naming things that she has done, but we're honored to be here with Katrina Adams. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Listen, I have learned so many things from you from working this position, but you've been here for much longer than I have. You've been here for 10 years. We're celebrating the 10 years of We Need to Talk. Woo-hoo. What I know, it's just been amazing. Obviously, a historic and groundbreaking show. What have you seen change in the 10 years since we've started this amazing franchise, really?
Oh my goodness. Outside of my looks. This has been an amazing opportunity for all of us who have been on the show. I remember having this meeting in like this conference room to talk about the show or the possibilities of it before we even went on air. And having the opportunity to work with these amazing women, these journalists, these broadcasters, these athletes, has been a monumental moment for me in my career, but also in our relationships and the friendships that have evolved from this. But to see us all grow and develop together, and to see the storylines that have come out of this and the people that we have all met on the show has just been amazing. And I think to see that we as women, I think they said that we wouldn't last because we were women, and that we would be catty and we wouldn't be able, we'd talk over one another, and we would never be able to really talk about sports. Wrong. It's been phenomenal. And so it's just been a joy.
But with that, 10 years, a lot has changed. It's definitely different. The landscape for women in sports is definitely different. But when you heard about this show and they asked you to be on it, did you have any reservations at all because of things like that? Because of people saying things like that?
Oh, I did not have a reservation about it. I was actually thrilled. I think I was recruited because at the time I was the president, chairman, and CEO of the USTA. So I had a couple different hats that I was wearing. One, I was a former professional athlete, so I could bring my athletic prowess to the conversation, my experience to the conversation as an athlete, but then I could bring the business hat to the conversation. So as we talked about a lot of different issues in sport, I could go either way. What was my experience as an athlete on the court, or the mentality of an athlete, or if there was a business issue or something that came up, what would I do in that situation? So it was kind of fun for me because I could really come from a few different angles, or just from an analyst perspective. So that was very cool for me. Whereas some of my other colleagues and co-hosts were maybe just one side or the other. So I think the growth from even my perspective and learning how to even navigate being in this seat or with this mic has been really cool for me.
I want to talk about the growth, not on the set, but on the court or the clay or wherever it is that you're playing. I mean, so many barriers have already been broken down in the sport of tennis, especially when it comes to women and women of color, Black women specifically. And it feels like we're constantly chasing who the next Serena is going to be. And there are a lot of names to choose from: Naomi Osaka, Coco Gauff. Do you think that we will get one singular kind of icon in the sport, or because of the work of yourself, Serena, Venus, so many other names, that now it isn't just one person? Now it can be a bunch of other women of color, Black women, kind of dominating the sport for a very long time.
Yeah, I think there's so much talent that's out there. The talent pool is getting larger and wider. And I think that's the beauty of the sport, especially for tennis, that we do see so many women of color. And, we have to take a step back and say there's never going to be another Serena. I mean, what she has done in the sport is mind-blowing. 23 majors. She was chasing the 24th. Yeah. To break that with Margaret Court. And, she fell a little short, had a lot of opportunities, but there's not going to be another Serena. Definitely in our lifetime. Mm-hmm. But, there is Naomi Osaka that has done well. And then, of course, she's taken a pause and had a child, which is great. Now she's back on tour. And then there's Coco Gauff that is, still young. She's 20, not quite an adult yet, who is chasing that dream with her first major and now has a doubles major. But we'll see what's there. But I think everybody wants to be their own self and not be compared to the greats of the game. And I think that's a good thing for these young athletes is they want to be the next Coco Gauff, the next Naomi Osaka, and not that next Serena Williams, because that's where the pressure is. I think on the men's side in particular, there's always that next Arthur Ashe. It's not going to be next Arthur Ashe, but we're going to have the next Francis Tiafoe or the next, Ben Shelton, perhaps. But, women's sports, though, man, we're killing it. We're rocking it in every sport at every level. And that's what's been fun for me over the last 10 years is just seeing the development and the growth of all of our sports. When we're talking about the W, we're talking about, soccer, we're talking about now professional women's hockey league, and, tennis has always been the pinnacle.
What has it meant for you to not only be part of the growth for women in this industry, women in sports, professionally as athletes, but also for doing what we're doing now, whether you're behind the camera, whether you're in front of the mic, whether you're marketing, wherever you find yourself in this industry, because women like you have sat in these seats and broken down barriers and walls, it has made it possible for more to come in. How has that felt, having the impact in just two separate sides of this world, if you will?
It's been huge for me. I think it's been very rewarding to have a voice. I think we don't have enough voices in the room that are making decisions. One thing I've always been fighting for is to make sure we have more women in leading positions in business, in sport, that are decision makers. That's where we're lacking still in sport, in professional sports in particular on the executive side, right? We need more women that are decision makers in our sport. It doesn't have to be in women's sport. It's in sport as a whole. So men and women. Our girl Swin Cash is up there. She's getting there.
Sure is.
And, she's got a seat at the table. But there's not enough. And we're slowly making our way up. But it's not about gender. It's about what's here and about having that business mindset. And the more women we can have in those rooms that are making sound decisions, I think the better off sports as a whole will be, but also better off women's sports will be, because we need to be making decisions about who we are and about our bodies and how our bodies are working out on the field and on the court, because who knows better than we? And too often we have men that are making decisions about how hard we can push ourselves or what we can do, and they don't know anything about what our bodies can do. But we do.
We had Allie, and she was telling us about women pumping in the bathrooms and doing IVF treatments in the bathrooms just so that they could balance work, family, and every. It's incredible.
Well, it is incredible. And I think there's a lot of answers to the question of how do we get women in those rooms? But what do you think is the main way that we're going to be able to achieve that? We've made a lot of strides, but we still have a lot of work to do. What is the main thing that you think needs to be changed in order for that to happen?
Well, it starts with having male allies. We have to have male allies in the room and outside of the room that we know that we're working with, that are supporting us, that know the type of leaders that we are, that are saying, hey, Mike, hey, Jim, hey, Larry, Kat, Allie. I mean, these we got to get them in the room. They know just as much, if not more, than we do, and we need them at the table. And it starts one at a time. I had male allies that supported me, that were sponsors for me, that were mentors for me, that helped me move up the ladder. And that's what we need across the board. And it's unfortunately, that's the way of the game. But that's what we have to have in order for us to get in the room. And then we as women have to bring other women in the game. And I think in corporate America over the years, it used to be where when we did get a female in the room, it was like, I'm it. I'm not trying to, no, because I don't want you to push me out. There was, so I heard back in the day. But I think it's a lot different now. I know it's a lot different now where the women are like, no, if I'm in, I got to help my other sister come in and help her, get a spot, get a seat at the table. but it's all about our male allies initially helping us get in the room, get a seat at the table, and then helping other women get in.
Well, I know that these two women are very grateful for all that you have done within this industry, within women in sports. And we wouldn't be sitting here if it weren't for all the barriers that you've broken down. And we hope we can do the same and pass the torch and watch that continue.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm excited to be here with you guys.